Uh-oh, the phone's updating today. Usually that should be a good thing for security reasons and all that, but usually I find stability-wise there's usually so many bugs when you update stuff. Like who knows what would happen the next chance I get to fly my Mavic and all too. Like whether or not it would be like an error. I don't recognize this. Guess they're forcing the kids to do their exercise today. Trying to catch up on all the comments and some interesting news today. A lot of stuff about drone near misses again, and hey, even military stuff with Garneau in there. Interesting. Actually, one of them, like I said, it talks about near miss and statistics. It just makes me think, what the heck is a near miss? Is it this? Oh, there's a near miss. Pedestrian with a car there. Maybe there's another one. Is it coming? Yep. Hey, more cars. Near miss, near miss. Like, it just makes me wonder what the heck people are talking about when they say near misses in this report. Like, do they actually mean anything? Okay, and to try to answer some questions, like yesterday I said, in order to educate the public and all that, which I think is the key, you need people like me basically to fly the drone in a public place to help educate people like that, which I can't because of the way the law is written. So you were asking, Chris, are they not just rules for guidance and not laws? If you fly, they have to prove what you did was unsafe. I mean, anyone can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but to my understanding, these are, quote, laws right now. They're interim laws, like they're not permanent, but basically the transport minister, he has the right to make them act as if they are permanent laws. So at this point, anything like flying within the 9 kilometers from the airport, the aerodromes and all that is technically illegal. I mean, it'll be the equivalent of going through like a red light right now with a car or whatever. Because to my knowledge too, the people who are flying it, they're basically doing it despite of this, saying like, yeah, they'll just keep it safe under the radar and all that. But to my knowledge, again, technically it's illegal because it is, quote, the law. I mean, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. And should I just fly in an open field like this because it's, quote, safe? You know, as a test to see if there's nut jobs that would go, hey, I'm gonna pull 911 to see if this guy's dangerous and all that. Like, maybe, but at the same time I have to think, am I gonna get support or help if some nut job comes after me like that too? I mean, that's something I have to think about for myself as well, because again, I don't have any big organizations or companies like supporting me in that way, like for me to get out there, talk to the public and educate them and all that. For the most part, it's you guys, for example. You guys help me spread the message, you guys give me the information, so I'm hoping like I'm taking baby steps in that way to help educate the public with what I have. I mean, I know you guys are reasonable, you listen to the facts and you try to put everything together, but don't underestimate the amount of crazies out there. Even those videos I saw from other drone flyers in other countries where people, when they really hate drones, holy, look at the extent they go to just to try to bash or like whatever, to cause negativity towards people. Actually, feel like comment about the geese being in ATTI mode. I always wondered if the ATTI was an acronym for something, but from my research it just stands for attitude mode. Am I correct? I never actually confirmed that with anybody. So yeah, in general, that's why, for me anyways, if I'm flying right now, it has to be somewhere like really far away out of the middle of nowhere, like hiking and stuff, where I know it's away from the airplanes and all that. Like in those instances when I'm that far away, trying to abide by this thing as much as possible. If some idiot, for example, wants to come up and say, well, look at that, this is a squirrel 74.9 meters away. Like for those, like I'm willing to take the risk in that sense, because in that sense, it's so stupid and ridiculous. In my opinion, it will help the cause. And I would be super surprised in that case if someone actually took it that far and people of authority would agree like, oh yeah, he's right, I better punish you now. And Unlimited Burger, you had a funny comment was saying like, wondering if people know what the heck they're actually banning, like with the laws and all that, when it comes to even like, say, I don't know, like model aircrafts or something like that. And it says, I wonder if they said rubber band powered airplanes over 250 grams, if the general public would accept it so easily. I mean, in many ways, as funny as that is, I mean, that's how people need to be communicated in many ways. That's why I said, like, the technical stuff, for a lot of people, they won't actually pay attention to it. It's like, it has to get across in a more reasonable, not reasonable, what is it? A straightforward way, like a regular guy would actually understand and could relate to. Man, it almost looks like one big piece of kale or something. But yeah, again, that's why I say it's unfortunate I can't fly, because most people, like, they generally speaking, they need to have this stuff in their hand or to experience it firsthand before they'll realize, like, you know, how crazy it is. Because you can be as technical or knowledgeable as you want, but when people have like their mindset for the most part, I mean, no amount of facts or logic will get through to their heads. So that's why I said again, like I hope people don't just focus on like just, you know, the formal and super technical way. Like hopefully they support, you know, just the regular people too, like getting out there and educating people because it's needed. So again, like generally speaking, if anyone knows any fun stuff and stuff I can explore and stuff, use I mean, let me know, because it all interrelates everything. It just doesn't have to be about tech or drones, because even like I said, like from my own experience, a lot of the cases, like the awareness, it wasn't even specifically talking about drones, it's other stuff, and then people come to realize it like indirectly. And Mike, you shared with me the letter that you got from your MP that you sent. It says here, in his Canada Transportation Strategy 2030, the Minister of Transportation stated that Transport Canada is working to ensure that drones or unmanned air vehicles are subject to simple, clear, and enforceable regulations. Unfortunately, the interim measures seem to miss all three criteria. This confusion is unacceptable and can have far-reaching consequences for both recreational users and those who would like to use them for business purposes. And so basically from there, they said they'll forward your letter and all that. So again, I guess that's one of the examples again of people that respond to you, like when you do it, like the formal process of going through the MPs and all. I'm just really curious of what the actual responses are afterwards. Like for them sending it to, like, say the Garneau, does he give them back like a template response too, or are they forced to actually answer it like with an actual answer? Because I know for me, I always try to understand things with the way like I know it, like say in digital like media and all that. I know if there was like one person like sending in a complaint, like the company or whatever, they're like, okay, whatever. 2 people, 100 people, like, okay, well, I can still put it off. 1,000 people, what's going on here? 100,000, 1 million people, like, okay guys, like I'll have to like answer you guys. Like that's from my experience personally too. Like I said, for those companies, like even for me, when I brought in concerns before, like they had to, like, I have no choice, I have to answer this when there's that many people. Yeah, so again, thank you for sharing, because I think it's important to understand all the methods, because ultimately, like, this is what it comes down to. Like people like that, they have to actually fix the laws. I think I'm gonna start confusing your guys' names too, because you guys have like similar names for a lot of you guys. I gotta start word associating everybody. So one of the things that caught my attention today was this report, like it says, for example, drone incidents have been increasing like ever since 2013, and there's like quotes saying, the spike in incidents seems to correlate with the proliferation of consumer drone technology, which is affordable and requires virtually no training to operate. Then they show, like in some of the sites, they have like these graphs, for example, showing you how many close encounters there were, how many sightings, 236. I mean, in cases like this, like I've been inclined to ask, well, how many deaths have there been as a result of a drone? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it 0? Anybody? Like, show me like where the report where the drone actually crashed into an airplane and all that. Or at the same time, like what exactly does a near miss mean, for example? Or these sightings, like was the drone like, I don't know, 500 feet away or something like that, like whatever, like was it really like that much of an issue? Like that's why I was showing you things like the cars and so forth. Like what the heck is a near miss? I was right next to it, like technically walking the sidewalk. Is that a reason to be concerned? Like for me, I'm trying to understand it from the other perspective. I know a lot of people would say, like with this, well, that's not the point, like whether or not actual like things have actually happened. It's about the possibility, like do we want to risk, for example, this drone crashing into something and possibly, like, I don't know, killing thousands of people in an airplane? But I think it is actually really important, like whether or not it actually caused real damage and if it's a reason to be concerned. Because, like, for example, like just in terms of safety and stuff, I mean, I read a story again. I mean, the other day I was reading something about a plane crashing into a coyote, which I thought, like, okay, isolated incident. But today I was reading something about, like, what is this, like an alligator or something like that, like got killed by an airplane as well. So realistically, for people that have like that concern, I mean, isn't it better to be focused on the stuff that are actually causing deaths and accidents? Like, shouldn't that be the priority? You know, it would make me think, like, for example, like if you had like a house, for example, that for whatever reason the pipe is leaking water like at an incredible pace or whatever, isn't it better to focus on the actual issue right now, because that's the thing that's causing the destruction or whatever, as opposed to worrying about whatever this new tech is? Maybe it's like an Alexa or Google Home or something. Like you're worried about how dangerous that tech is, like when in reality it hasn't done anything yet, like in that manner. Like people have to think about that, in my opinion. Like I would say, like in correlation to data and all that, like ultimately, like what does it mean? Because I think it's important for something to actually do something, as opposed to having like a fear-mongering of the tech. I mean, can you imagine if we fear-mongered people, like in Canada in general, saying in Canada we can't use like smartphones for whatever reason because people are afraid they're gonna use it for devious like reasons. Like I was even reading like some of you wrote in the comments, like you guys were police officers before, saying there were people using these to detonate like, I don't know, bombs or something like that. Like for me, it's like, what in the world? Like that's like the extreme case. I mean, maybe it's just me, but hopefully like all of you like people who don't fly the drone too, you realize, hey, maybe there's a benefit to it. Maybe you're jumping the gun. And that kind of leads me like in terms of drones and benefits, one of the pieces of news I read today about the military in Canada. And hey, Garneau made a comment here, guys. Basically, I read all these headlines like here saying defense plan calls for cyber and drone attacks to meet 21st century threats. So they're basically embracing the technology in many ways. So here's like a brief clip I saw of it of the Garneau talking about this stuff.
The drones are another promising area identified in the policy, which is good for investment. These are important support to help protect the personnel of the Canadian Armed Forces during dangerous situations, and also allows us to lead operations in difficult environments and in hospital environments. The drone system can also serve to many purposes, including surveillance, safe bomb diffusion, marine detection, or transportation heavy loads on uneven terrain, as we've done for the use of technology in space and cyberspace. We will make sure the use of drones will always comply with international and national laws. The government intends to be a leader to promote international standards for the appropriate, responsible and legal use of these systems and technologies.
Now for me personally anyways, I think the most important thing here is, hey, they're recognizing they have to catch up to the 21st century. Like basically like, you know, things like drone technology is the way it is, so it's time to invest like in the country. Now if I heard this correctly, I think they were saying they want to comply with international laws and in a sense be a leader in promoting like international standards for the appropriate use of drones and all. And I was just thinking in terms of recreational flyers, oh boy, you're sure not following like what a lot of people like say the US are doing, at least anyways. So I hope they're not following Canada with a lot of ridiculous laws. I mean, think of it like from this military point of view, how smart or dumb would it be for us to wait until the rest of the world embraces it? They have like, you know, this whole army of drones or whatever that can automate the whole process, and here we're still behind saying, nah, I still think it's dangerous, we better just wait. I mean, wouldn't that be really stupid? I mean, it's the same thing, I think. Even for people using it for recreational purposes, for fun or whatever, like you have to embrace the technology now because that's the way it's gonna be. I mean, have safeguards and all. I mean, everyone agrees with that, but don't fearmonger them to the point where like, you know, people can't fly them anywhere or do anything with them. You have to think about how many other people are using the tech and how it can affect them as well. I mean, just because someone like say a Garneau, they don't use it personally and it doesn't affect them, think about the future, not just like for yourself. Otherwise, I'll argue in many ways too. I mean, you're making it harder for the younger generation because you're putting us in such a handicap compared to the rest of the world. We're gonna be so behind playing catch up just because of these really stupid laws. Actually, one interesting thing in terms of getting people to think, hopefully, like even though the things don't affect you specifically and you don't use the tech, I was reading like here, there was something about like some kind of like car tax fee or being proposed or something like that, like in BC here, based on like how long people drive. And basically people are being outraged over that, saying, what, you're gonna charge us even more, like driving this, like more tax and all that? I mean, it makes me think like even for like, you know, the car drivers and all that, like how would you react if everyone else, like say people who don't use the cars, but just say, yeah, good, like, you know, put more restrictions and stuff on you guys. Like, wouldn't you want us to like, you know, think of it from a rational point of view, like, okay, does it make sense? Do we actually have the infrastructure here, like the transportation or whatever, to justify that? Like, I would be thinking of it that way too, so I hope people are thinking of that for the drones as well. Like me, I walk a lot, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna make a snap decision, an emotional one, just saying, yeah, go ahead, like whatever, just bring this up there. Like, I'll be there to listen as well, to see if it makes sense to you guys, so hopefully you guys have like an open mind too, when it comes to drones and all that. Alright, see you guys later.